What's going on, everybody? Austin with Austin Smith Real Estate. Real quick, I just wanted to make this video to talk about bad landlording, or when being a successful landlord when it comes down to attracting the right tenants. Right, the biggest fear with landlords or people that want to be landlords but choose not to become landlords is because of two things. One, God forbid the tenant doesn't pay. What happens if the tenant doesn't pay? The tenant. Second thing is, I don't want to fix leaky toilets and leaky pipes, and I don't want to have to worry about that or anything like that. And but no one has any issues with getting checks deposited to their account on a monthly basis, or walking into the bank to cash checks. No one has an issue with that, right? So what I've come to learn are one, we know there's good landlords and there's bad landlords, so we're past that. But what I realize is that people are bad landlords because they don't know the tools and the resources that are out there in order to make you a good landlord. All right, so I want to talk about those, the resources and the tools that help you become a great landlord. All right, so let's debunk the two, the tenants and the maintenance. First things first, tenants. One, real estate is location. And it's honey that attracts bees. All right, so when you're looking at areas to invest in, and when you're looking at landlording in certain areas, and you're looking at certain demographics and things like that, one, the area that you buy in will obviously determine the type of tenant that you will be attracting, all right, more often than not. And here's what I mean by that. You can be in an A+ area, 90% of the tenants, maybe you're model citizen, working class, making, great income, and just want to have a spot to rent. No problem. And their perfect credit score is amazing, right? Your ideal perfect tenant. If you're buying in the A-class area, a good chance is, 90% of them will be that type of tenant. Okay, cool, no problem. And 10% will be tenants that you do not want, that you wouldn't have renting in your A-class rental, right? So same thing is true on the flip side. When you're buying in areas where maybe 90% of the individuals may not be the quote-unquote best tenant, may not have the perfect requirements or the perfect credentials, and you might not want to go after that individual because of what I just said. No problem. But then there's also 10% of them that will be great tenants. Are there no great tenants in war zones? Are there great tenants? Are there no great tenants? Are there no amazing tenants that live in the not D-class areas or C-class areas? That's false. Right? So, number one, you got to shift through everybody. All right? And the way that you do that is have a product that people are going to want. And you have that product based off of two things: location and the actual house. So if you have a crap house in a great location, you're still probably going to get an okay tenant. But if you do that in a C-class area, in a D-class area, you might not. All right? So, one, if you have a great product, people are going to come to you. And if people are coming to you, then and the more feet and the more traffic and the more eyeballs that you have seeing your rental, your unit that's available, the better chance that you have of receiving numerous applications, which at that point you can sift through them and pick the best one. All right? Obviously, your tenant is going to be a lot different in the D-class area than it is in the A-class area. All right? That's fundamentals. We're not, like, debating that. It's just the fact that also with the A-class areas, they're more expensive. And you might be able to only invest in a D-class or C-class area. But if that is the case, you still are going to have to provide them individuals with a product that they're going to want and they're going to like, thus getting a much amount of people through the door so you can actually sift through them. Once they're actually coming through, me and my wife, we like to use Cozy, cozy.co, not .com, cozy.co. The tenant will spend $40 for the application, as far as the application fee, and it'll run their background check and it'll run their credit check, and they'll actually give you their FICO score. Now, you can ask for other support and documentations, but this is just a great starting point to begin with, cozy.co. Right? So, giving them, once you're taking in on that information, obviously you're going to be looking for other information. You're only going to get a FICO score. You might want them to print out their whole entire credit report, so that way you can see Experian, TransUnion, the other bureaus. There's nothing wrong with providing that, and they should be able to get a free copy of that. One, credit. Okay? Obviously, in the A-class area, the credit is going to probably be better than the C-class areas than the D-class areas. And I'll always say this. The best tenants, at the time that you're looking to rent your unit, the best tenants are not tenants. They're landlords and homeowners. All right? So stop looking for homeowners as tenants. They're tenants for a reason. Does that mean that you go out and go grab somebody with a 500 credit score? Absolutely not. But I also, do believe that, one, everybody is in a certain phase in their life, especially tenants. Tenants are people too. Tenants make mistakes. What's the story? Get the full story. Get the full story. They might have had some troubles with the credit. They might, things that happen in our community is we'll co-sign for people's stuff when we shouldn't have. That might mess up your credit. All right. So if that does happen, again, getting the whole story, getting the whole backdrop of the story to know exactly what the situation is. All right. On top of that, employment verification, call their employer, call their manager, call their supervisor, pay stubs, get a real solid record of their work. All right. You got that. Like I said, cozy.co already handles the background check. And the only other thing that I need, right? So credit, income, the two biggest things that accounts for 80% of what's going to be a good tenant, right? Do they have the ability to pay their other liabilities on time? Two, do they have the income to continue to support themselves, right? Those are the two biggest things. The third, right, which is the 20%, will go into the lifestyle of that tenant. And what I mean by that is a lot of people are like, I don't want my tenant to, damage my property, this and that, X, Y, and Z. One, you're not going to know that. I did have one podcast guest that actually told me that she actually will go out and visit their current rental and their current housing and where they're at now to see how they live there. How they live there is going to be indicative of how they're going to live in the landlord's unit, right? So I'm not going to say that I'm going to go that far, me personally, because I don't have time to come to your spot. It's not the way, right? However, and I give credit to my wife, what's their profile like online, right? What does their social media say? Do they have a link? What's their LinkedIn say? Facebook, Instagram? What is their social media profiles? Speak about them, right? I don't care, and even with people looking at their social media profiles, don't be judgy. Don't be judgy. I don't care if you turn up every weekend. I could care less. I don't care if you turn up on Wednesday. I don't care if you turn up on Tuesday. I don't care if you're ratchet. I could care less. I'm 95% professional and 5% ratchet. All right? I don't care about that. But what I would like to see, in addition to that, is I want to see their professional side. You don't have to have a corporate job, but how you speak about your company, how you speak about your job, how you speak about other people. Do I see you commenting craziness on other people's pages? I want to see you involved. Are you a part of some philanthropic organization? Maybe you're part of a nonprofit, or, you're active in the community. I want to see those things, because if you're doing those things, what I feel like, in conjunction, and again, this is only the 20%, because the 80% is the credit and the income and the background check. But even the background check, you're going to still have to put that to the side. Obviously, you're going to have to look at it by case. No one's asking just to accept every, individual that's committed murder. But at the same time, people do dumb things when they're young, and I'm not talking about murder, but shoplifting, things like that, dumb stuff, that people did maybe in their teens. Forgive them, move on. They're a much better person now, ideally. Right? So, if that is the case, or just going back to how they conduct themselves online on their social media profiles, is extremely indicative of how they are as a person. If they're trying their best opportunity, I don't care how, again, don't care what you do on the weekends, I don't care what you do with family, friends, none of that, I could care less. How do you conduct yourself? What does your representative say about you? All right? And they usually say you don't meet any, regardless of the fact, even when you are meeting them, you're not meeting the real them, you're meeting their representative. Whether the representative is good or not, that's going to be a different story. But you're factoring those things in. So when you do see individuals that are coming through and they do have a great online presence, they don't have to be recorded, they don't have to post every day. Don't care about that. But in the world of information, there's more than likely, that tenant that's put their stuff on social media, and you will be able to find it. So what is that, what does that say about them? All right. So that's screening the tenant. And then when it comes down to the repairs, which honestly, I cringe when, if this is your reasoning for not becoming a landlord, for not owning property, for not investing in real estate, because you're worried about the repairs, then fine. Stay on the sidelines. More for me, more for everybody else that's already doing this. Because the way that I see it, we're not doing the repairs our damn self anyway. The small repairs, I might try to take on myself. However, I also know what happens when I try to take on a small plumbing repair and then wind up making it worse. So, I learned my lesson. I'm not doing that anymore. Plumbing's not on me. Little carpentry, little nails, and this and that, fine. But outside of that, everything else, I'm going to bring out somebody. I'm going to bring out a handyman. I'm going to bring out an electrician. I'm going to bring out a plumber. I'm going to bring out somebody who can do the job right. Here's your money. I could care less. I can care less. Because then if you as an owner, if you're not handy, try to do it yourself and you make it worse, you cost yourself more money, and more importantly, you've cost yourself more time, which during that time you could have been used doing whatever the case. I don't care if that's building your own business, chilling time with the family, with the wife, whatever the case, calling more sellers to try to find more investment properties. There's always an opportunity cost. So I would rather pay the plumber or the electrician to go handle the repairs, because I'm not going to know what to do anyway. All right? So, and then you can set up a lockbox for them to gain access. You can schedule with the tenant so that way the handyman can get in without you having to be there or anything like that. So those are the two things as far as becoming a great landlord is how good of a landlord you are is based off of your tenants, basically. And your tenants will be indicative of how, good of a landlord you are or are not. All right? So the same way that customers, referrals are the lifeline of any service-based business, any service or needs-based, any business. The customers are the blood and lifeline of the organization of the business. It's the same way that the tenants are the lifeline and the blood of your rental property investments and your landlording business. All right? So keep that in mind. Just run through your tenants, screen them, and you'll be completely fine. If you have a great product, the product will run itself. All right, Austin Smith with Austin Smith Real Estate.